Welcome to JoyTalk Radio.
Welcome to JoyTalk Radio.
Welcome to JoyTalk Radio,
where we come together to change the world
by challenging ourselves,
our beliefs,
and our systems
to get better results for generations to come.
I called this a radicalized acute distress under duress, period. This is what happens. They get this radicalized acute distress. It builds up because they're under deep pressure and trauma. And I just want to talk about the two different sides. First thing they do in an incident, this is when the EMS, the police, the people who are involved in whatever the incident was, or the onlookers are the people involved at the point of a 911 call. The person who gets arrested or the family member who's involved goes through a deep shock and a kind of paralysis. It's like people often talk about fight or flight. Well, there's the freeze place where they're in such shock they don't even know how to react. And some of the internal feelings that they feel is deep grief or embarrassed. Let's say that they're a person who got in a car accident and someone got hurt or someone died. Or they got in a fight with their best friend and their best friend got hurt. These are the kinds of feelings that people have because something went wrong that they caused and they didn't intend to cause it. So they feel this embarrassment. They feel sadness, remorse, guilt, regret, anger, despair, horror, sorrow. They feel devastated and vulnerable. They're hurt or in pain, and they feel deep heartbreak. So those are the emotions that are going on inside people at the point of a 911 call. And the external reaction is that they have a reality split that, oh my God, I was fine over here and now somebody's dead. Or I was fine over here and now I'm in deep trouble with the police and the flashing lights are going. They can't speak about it. They lose privileges. They get probed and questioned. They become a commodity of the county. At that point, they lose their rights and the county basically takes over, or the medical people take over. And they basically don't have any say in what happens to them. Their family can be violated immediately because they'll take the family aside and the police will start questioning them. Their body could be searched. They may be handcuffed, thrown in the back of a police car. They may be injured themselves. They may have just sustained a major shock and gone through. They may have had a concussion and just woke up. They suddenly are condemned by others because the people who were hurt condemn them and the audience is condemning them. And now they don't have any money. How many people have money when they end up in an accident like this? Their wallets get taken. They don't have cash on them. And they're wounded, they're hobbled, they're victimized. So people are ostracized just because the 911 call happened and they were the cause of the 911 call. For whether they're guilty or not isn't the point. The point is they were the person, they were the object that created this major trauma. At the point that they were arrested, this is the point where the police put handcuffs on them, put them in the car, and get ready to take them away. So they get searched. Again, they go through all this, the process of being thrown into the backseat of a car. The car is cold. It's dark. It may stink. They know that they're going to be investigated. They feel captured. They feel prey. They are presumed guilty. They're disrespected, victimized. These are the external things that happen to them. They feel like suddenly the world has deceived them because they thought that when they called 911 or their family member called 911 that somebody was coming to help them. And so they feel like, oh my God, suddenly I'm the one who's being persecuted. So the external reactions that happen at the arrest continue here. They find out that they have loss of rights, loss of privacy. They may get flashbacks of things that were happening to them. They're going to be deprived of love. No one is hugging them. No one's talking with them. They know they're going to be deprived of sunlight, food. There's no compassion at all. Once you become the object of suspicion, you're labeled the guilty one. You're the condemned. You are the criminal. And people recognize that suddenly they have been labeled a criminal. They've been captured. Their hands are tied behind them. They get separated, they get blamed, shamed, examined, dissected, accused, retaliated against, bankrupted. They know all these things are going to happen. Well, what's happening to them internally? That's all the stuff that's coming into their mind. They're thinking about these things. what's happening to them internally while they go into this deep shame, having been arrested, and they're feeling vulnerable. They feel exposed, disoriented, betrayed, condemned. They feel isolated and cold, deep loss of freedom, emotional terror and shock that they're going to be going into this cage. They can't get away. They can't get away, and it's cold. They feel abandoned, disconnected, dishonorable. They can feel desecrated and violated, punished. They feel abused, and they start to feel antagonism because they want to fight back. But how can they fight back? Everybody's looking at them. Everybody knows. And the emotional disconnect, they go into a form of emotional purgatory, and they can completely check out. And the worst thing that I've heard from people is that they were not allowed to say they were sorry to the person who got hurt, to the accident, to the family, whatever. They're not allowed to say they're sorry because the police, the insurance people that might show up, the family members, whoever it is, they tell you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do may be held against you. They're silenced, and they can't say I'm sorry, because if they say I'm sorry, I'm sorry you're hurt. They can't say I'm sorry you're hurt. I'm sorry someone died. I'm sorry. They can't say that because they're afraid now that means they're guilty, and they may or may not necessarily be guilty. They're just sorry. They're just humans. So the shame and the internal feelings that happen at an arrest. Now, let's say they get transported to the jail. At the point of the jailing, a different kind of trauma starts to show up.
Thank you for joining us on Joy Talk Radio.